Now, with the 43rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Cole Kmet, tight end, Notre Dame.
Cole's a nice story, as he's from Arlington Heights and went to St. Viator High School in the Chicago area. He's a big dude at 6'6", 260 pounds, which is a great size for an inline tight end. He doesn't really wow you with athleticism, but I think he has enough to translate at a pro level. Poor acceleration, but great speed. He can't make sharp cuts or turns at all. People bounce off him easily, and he's kind of hard to tackle. He's kind of like a bumper car in a way. People just can't seem to get him down right away. Not a great blocker, he holds a bit too much for my liking. Doesn't get any push off the line, doesn't get off the line well to start either. He has a lot to improve on in this area. Since he is a wide tight end, he practically only knows 5 routes, and 4 of them are short yardage. He's got good hands, but not strong hands, meaning he has good hands to catch the ball, but if it's contested and the defender plays through the ball, his hands aren't strong enough to hold on to it. Cole should be a solid option in the red zone and can be used as a decoy for others as well. Now, my biggest issue with this pick is not with Cole Kmet himself. He may very well develop into a solid player, and that's nice. But should you spend a second round pick on a wide tight end? No, you should not. He isn't going to be very dynamic in the passing game, and he won't be effective in the run game. So what exactly is he supposed to help us with in his first year or two as a player? What does he bring to the table that any other 9 or 10 tight ends in the locker room don't bring? The answer to that question is nothing. It's worse that he doesn't have any elite traits either. He's good at some things and bad at others, but not one trait absolutely stands out to you. Rookie tight ends rarely, and I mean rarely, ever contribute in meaningful ways during their rookie year. So if our goal is to win a Super Bowl, as it should be, drafting a tight end with your first pick after not having one pick in the first round is not ideal. I think Cole is a fine player. He may even develop into a solid player down the line. However, I'm sure Bears fans will look back on this pick and wonder, I wonder what would have happened if we took this player instead of a tight end that doesn't contribute much to our attack within his first 2-3 years in the league. I know some people like comparisons between players. I don't, but if I had to find the first person that came to my mind, I think Cole Kmet is just a bigger Desmond Clark, which many Bears fans should be familiar with.
With the 50th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Jaylon Johnson, defensive back, Utah.
If you didn't see Utah play for most of the season, they had a top-level defense. They did not finish the season as well as they played most of the time. And a huge reason for it, David, was the play of this guy played hurt all year, but a tough, aggressive cornerback.
Jaylon Johnson is the best pick the Bears made in this draft. He had first-round talent, but dropped due to the stacked cornerback class this year and due to some injury concerns as well. Jaylon played the entire 2019 season with a torn labrum and was still an All-American, so I think to myself, imagine how he could have played healthy. If he was healthy, I think he would have been taken earlier, but it also shows a toughness to him that he can play through an injury if you need him to. Jaylon is 6 foot with good length and speed at the corner position. He has great awareness, aggression, and playmaking ability. He goes after the ball and puts himself in a great position to play the ball. Very fluid player who has great feet. I think his eyes sometimes stay on the quarterback just a bit too long at times, but that can certainly be coached up. As a corner for the Bears, you have to be able to tackle, and Jaylon certainly can. He isn't afraid to get involved in the run game and will lay down a big hit if he can. He has good pursuit skills and can help secure the edge to the sideline. I think he is a little handsy in man and press coverage at times, even though he certainly has the quickness to mirror receivers. Jaylon should project to start opposite of Kyle Fuller, and this is something Bears fans will like to hear. In an interview I found with Jaylon, he mentioned the receiver he'd love to cover the most is Davante Adams from the Packers. Well, Jaylon, you got your wish. You'll be battling him twice a year now. In the 5th round, the Bears select Trevis Gipson. Now, Gipson, what he does well is that he's more of a natural pass rusher, and he does it fairly well. He has natural leverage considering he's shorter than most tackles, but at Tulsa he was actually kind of played out of position. He always had his hand in the dirt, but I'm pretty certain with the Bears he'll be more of an outside linebacker so he can stand up a bit and at times have his hand down and rush the quarterback. His best move is a rip and dip, as it allows him to bend around the corner. He has good flexibility and bend in his hips, which is always a fantastic trait to have as a pass rusher. I have no idea how he will do in coverage for the Bears, as he was never asked to do that in college. So it's going to be interesting, and I don't think he'll ever have much responsibility in that area. He needs to use his length better, as he gives up the inside of his chest too much. But I really think working with Mack and Quinn will help him grow as a rusher. He's good at tackling and has a great knack for going for the ball, which is a great mindset to have as a rusher. All in all, I think he's a really intriguing prospect. He needs to work on some mechanical issues, but I think he can be a solid backup for us. And if he eventually becomes a starter, then he has exceeded his value, and it becomes a great pick. Even if he stays as a backup, I wouldn't be too mad because he was only a 5th round pick. Those guys are usually development guys. Kendall Vildor was also picked up in the 5th round, and Kendall's an intriguing prospect. He isn't very tall for a corner, but he has very long arms and big hands, which has always helped him cover larger receivers. His length and athleticism have allowed him to play inside and outside as a corner, and he has great speed to help him fly all over the field. I think he is patient in his drop, and his quick feet allow him to do so. He comes downhill hard to tackle, which you love to see, but he is very passive with the actual tackling aspect, which is odd. I think his tackling dropped off from 2018 to 2019, along with other aspects of his game, which made him drop to the 5th round. I think he can be over aggressive in coverage at times, but coaching within the NFL should help him in that area. I think he'll be a special teamer for a year or two before being effective on the Bears defense. I just don't know exactly where he plays on the field, as the Bears currently have 3 or 4 nickel corners, and I think he'll struggle just a bit too much on the outside. Darnell Mooney was the 3rd pick in the 5th round for the Chicago Bears. When you watch Darnell, the most obvious thing that pops out at you is the speed. He ran a 4.38 at the combine, though I do think he looks faster on the field. Mooney has also shown good athleticism and playmaking ability. However, due to the small size, you always worry about durability, and he also doesn't have long arms or big hands. He's just a small guy who happens to be pretty fast. I don't think he'll really get much stronger or bigger, so he'll have to adjust himself against much better and larger competition in the NFL. Mooney's going to have to work to make the roster, but I think he makes the practice squad. I think Ted Ginn Jr., who was recently picked up, beats him out for the 53-man roster. Arlington Hambright was the first selection for the Bears in the 7th round. Arlington played left tackle for the University of Colorado, but I see him making the move to right guard, as he has good size for the position, but he does need to gain some good weight, mostly just like muscular weight, and I think he'll carry it fine without hurting his athleticism. Hambright is very athletic, as he tested very well, so due to that athleticism, I think it will come in handy for him to play inside, as he could get to the 2nd level easily. He is 24 years old, which is old for a prospect, but he has a lot of work to put in this offseason. With the Bears' 2nd selection in the 7th round, they pick Lachavious Simmons, who I guess goes by Pig, a nickname given to him by his grandma. He's a player from Tennessee State University, an HBCU school. Lachavious is a mauler. He takes pride in running people over, which is also a great mindset to have as an offensive lineman, and to be honest, I don't know much about him. The scouts on the Bears have mentioned that he works hard and is just a good old country boy, as he works very often on the farm. He played both guard and tackle, which is nice, and standing at about 6'4", 315 pounds, with crazy arm length, Simmons has a lot of work to do to make the squad, but I certainly see Simmons and Arlington both making the practice squad. So, I think the Bears finished this draft with a C-, which could be generous in a way. They drafted a tight end that, wasn't really needed and won't be effective to the offense. Though, luckily, they end up drafting a great corner in Jalen Johnson. I think that's like an A+ slam dunk draft for Jalen. The Gibson pick I like. However, the 2 other 5th round picks I think are meh. Some people seem to be really high on Mooney, but I'm not a big fan of his. Kino is okay, but once again, I don't think he was really needed. I think we have a lot of corners right now, And Kindle, I don't think he plays much at all this year or possibly even next year. And lastly, the last two picks in the 7th round may never take any meaningful snaps for the team. So it's very hard to judge those two picks. I also didn't really know much about them. Though I will say I'm very surprised with at least one of the two 7th round picks that one wasn't used on a QB. That was pretty surprising to me. I'm sure a lot of people might give me flack on my analysis on Cole Kmet, but it is what it is. I know a lot of people had him as the number 1 ranked tight end in this draft, but to me that doesn't really mean much because this tight end draft seemed awful. I also had other tight ends ranked ahead of Cole. I think people will regret having Cole on this team instead of other guys. Hey, what do I know? I'm just an amateur.